is the general manager himself, Ken Holland, here on 97.1 The Ticket. Hello, Ken. How are you today?
Good. Good morning. Nice to be with you.
Nice to have you. We appreciate it very much. We do want to talk about the team and the trade deadline and everything, but we're going to get some good questions out of the way first. I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you about the other night, the NHL 100. There was a picture taken of all the guys from the 2002 team, which you put together. You drafted a lot of those guys. You traded for, signed, etc. Was it 9 guys from that team that stood together of the top 100 players in the history of the league? I was wondering what you thought when you saw that and what kind of, I guess, pride you felt.
Yeah, somebody did send it to me. I did send it. 9 players played on the 02 team. Certainly it was a special team. I think that, when we put the team together that summer, traded for Hasek and signed Brett Hull and Luc Robitaille, we thought it had a chance. It was an older team, but obviously a lot of great players near the end of their careers, some of them that were looking for an opportunity to be on a team to compete for the Stanley Cup or win the Stanley Cup. And certainly it was a great year. And, when I saw the picture, certainly it was, a moment to go back in time and think of what a special team and what a special year that was.
Yeah, we go 15 years forward, and things obviously aren't as good. We talked before the season, and you said this team was probably not a Stanley Cup championship contender. Obviously, you're not. What has been the biggest disappointment with you besides the record of this team right now?
Well, I think it's obviously the record. I think that obviously we've got some people that probably haven't played as well as we thought they would. We've had some people that have played better than we thought they would. We haven't played, other than a 6-game winning streak, I think from games 3 to 8. We lost our first 2 and then we won 6 in a row. I think we had a 3-game winning streak here about 2 weeks ago. We basically, it seems like we win one, lose a couple. We get, lose it in overtime. We haven't had any consistency and been able to put anything together over a long period of time. I think that we've actually played. I think for the most part, our road record, we're about 500 in the road. I think when you look at a team, you'd like to be 500 or better on the road and have a real good home record. Our home record has been very, very poor, and I think that's why one of the reasons why we're in the situation we're in.
It looks like, Ken, you guys are not going to make the playoffs, be part of the lottery. In hindsight, because, well, you would know better than I, they say this draft isn't what last year's draft was. Would you have rather have been in this particular situation last year than the one you have, than the situation you are in now?
Well, I mean, first off, there's a lottery, so you can have the worst record in the league, and then you just get the first 4 picks in the draft are lottery picks. So right. you still got to get your ball pulled. Obviously, there was two players in last year's draft that looked like they're going to be superstars in the league, Laine and Austin Matthews. So, would you love to have those? I think you're asking, would you love to have those players? Who wouldn't love to have those players? But there are no guarantees that you're gonna get those players. So I think every summer you look at your team, you make the moves that you think are the best moves that you can make for the team based upon all the information that you've got, and then you watch it play itself out. And there's some trades the first 50 games of the year or in the league, not a lot. Then you get to the trade deadline, and then you're either a buyer or a seller. Or I call it stand pat, where you're sort of in it, but you're not going to wave the white flag, and you're not prepared to play future assets. And then you work your way towards the summertime, and you do it all over again. So I'm not looking back. We made decisions that we think were the right decisions at the time. Some of the decisions we made I think have been real good decisions. Some of the decisions we made haven't worked out the way that we wanted to. But I've been at it a long time, and I know that not every decision that you make is going to be a great decision. We're dealing with people, and we're dealing with an industry, and things change, and there's so many dynamics involved that sometimes you make decisions and they don't work out the way you thought they'd work out.
Ken Holland with us, the Red Wings general manager. We're also on Facebook Live if you want to watch via Facebook Live. Ken, the trade deadline is March 1st. Have you made a decision yet as to how you will approach the trade deadline, or do you still need a week or two more of hockey to see how this team plays?
Well, first off, I don't, around the league, there's so many teams bunched up. I haven't talked to all the teams, but I've talked to a number of teams. I think a lot of teams are in a waiting period. Even those teams that might think that they're in the plus, some teams have got a big cushion that they're in. They don't appear to be in any rush to, their team's playing good. They like their team. That's why they've got the record that they've got. So, as it pertains to our situation, first off, if you make a decision that you're going to be a seller, somebody's got to want the people what you're looking to sell. I mean, it's got to be a fit because it's a cap world, and there's cap implications, and then there's assets. Do they want to pay assets? Do they think the players that you might have available are what they're looking for? So, I think that where we are right now today, we're probably we're about a month away from the trade deadline. About 10 games there or so. So, we'll continue to play games. We've got about 30 games to go. I still think that, you're always holding out hope. I'm with it right now. It doesn't look very optimistic. If you can put a run together, you got to win 5 in a row or 5 out of 6 to climb back into the mix. Now, we had a 6-game winning streak early in the season. We had a 3-game winning streak 2 weeks ago. We haven't been able to put a run like that together. So, I could see people saying, I don't know if you can, but I think with 30 games to go, players are still coming to the rink. They're practicing today, and they're going to the rink tomorrow to play the Islanders, and we want to win the game. And when the game's over, you jump on a plane and you're going into Nashville. Our players are trying to win. Our coaches are trying to win. So in the meantime, I'll work the phones, and I'll see what teams out there are thinking. And it's what I've always said, if there's a fit, we have to make a decision. We're not going to be a buyer. We're not going to trade future assets to bring in somebody here to try to make us a little bit better. We're not going to be a buyer. We're either going to stand pat, or we're going to see if teams have interest in some of our players. That's what I'll work the phones to do here over the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Are you satisfied with the job Jeff Blashill has done?
Yeah, I think if you look at Jeff Blashill, first off, he's the second youngest coach in the National Hockey League. He's won everywhere else that he's been. I think in Indianapolis, in a junior league, he won a championship. He went to Western Michigan. He turned that program around in a hurry. He came and spent a year under Mike Babcock, and then an opening in Grand Rapids, and he jumped on it. And in 3 years there, he won a Calder Cup. He was nominated he won the Coach of the Year award in the American Hockey League. Besides winning the Calder Cup, I think they went to the 3rd round and they went to the 2nd round. So he's had a ton of success prior to getting to the National Hockey League. He's come to Detroit, and obviously we're in a transition. If you look at our division, last year Florida won our division. Tampa went to the Final Four, and Detroit. Those 3 teams were in the playoffs. Today, Florida, Tampa Bay, and Detroit, the playoffs started today. We're all out. And Ottawa, Montreal, Boston, who were all out last year, they're all in. So the league is, and I think that's the way it's going to go. Next year, it's going to switch around because there's so many teams so close. So I think that he's come in here. Obviously, while he's been here, Pavel Datsyuk has gone back to Russia. We're trying to move some younger people onto the team, and some of the younger people have grabbed the responsibility and played pretty well. Some of the younger people they're just learning. They're learning the league, and they're trying to survive. So I think that he's done a great job in our system, and he's come here in a time in our franchise where we're in a group of. There's a whole lot of teams, and there's a small margin for error, and for all these teams. And I think we're one of the teams that has got the most man games lost to injury. Certainly, he and I are disappointed with our power play, and I think that he's done a good job given the circumstances that he's been put in, and he's a young coach. And the experiences that he's gone through here over the last year and a half, and as we work our way through this year, I'm a big believer in experience. Whether you're a player or whether you're a manager or whether you're a coach or whatever job you do in life, the more experience that you get, the better you're going to be at. So he's going to be a better coach for the experiences that he's gone through. And when you factor in his history prior to getting to the National Hockey League, his and the job that he's done in player development and also in winning at Western Michigan, at junior hockey in Grand Rapids, and he's come to Detroit. I think he's a really good young coach, and again, I think he's going to get better as we go along.
Hey, Ken, as you look to improve this team, and you mentioned, you don't want to trade away young assets, which I think everybody agrees with. Is there anybody in your mind who's completely 100% untouchable? And I don't expect you to name names, or would you listen to any offer at any point in time?
Well, I think we're in a position where you got to listen to any offer at any point in time. But I think if you're going to trade some of the young people in our organization that you think are a big part of the future, and if they ever, you're doing it for another young. You're not trading young for old. I think it's young for young. Now, again, I don't think that anybody's untouchable. But the reality is, those kind of deals, they're either not out there or they're really hard for teams to make. So I think that we've got some players that we think they're going to be here a while. But if all of a sudden a player becomes available that you didn't think was going to become available, and he's for whatever reason, and you've got to part with some assets you don't really want to part with, then you'll think about it. But certainly you're always looking to try to upgrade the team.
Is there hope at all for the defense? Because it just looks, the Kaiser, I know you're paying him $5 million. He doesn't seem to be even a top four defenseman on most teams. That seems, in my opinion, to be the weakest part of this team. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, let me give you a history lesson.